All right, well, thank you so much for joining my debate. I don't really have a topic to discuss, but the real reason why is to avoid doing work when I need work. So this might be more of procrastination. So I'm going to be talking about it here. Just say hello to whoever's online right now. Check out your probably on your phone, laptop, LinkedIn. Also avoiding work like so. But I guess that's okay with yourself, have fun once in a while. So that's the day. And I'm also practicing some storytelling skills. I've been reading a couple books on data storytelling and research for them to nouns in a base on data storytelling. But in that vein, I actually want to tell a very quick story to you guys. My second one. Okay. I'm gonna get it to the mic. I wanted to go one out. But I guess I have my right. This is supposed to be a very useful setup. So I don't think there. But I'll go ahead and then my mic. Okay.
Lita or Naresh, let me know if the mic is working now. Daniel says my mic has issues. Okay, let's see. I sound funny. Okay, great. That's what I've been going for, to sound funny. Let me know if this is better. Robert, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. We've got Robert on here. Hello. Let me check. Mic, camera, action. Okay, it looks like the mic is connected, so please let me know. I'm going to continue talking. Please let me know if it's better now because okay, good. Okay, so much better. Good. Okay, awesome. By the way, if you have any recommendations for really good microphones, I'm shopping for a better microphone, so I'd love recommendations. Okay, glad to see that everything is working better now. Thank you. And I'm glad you let me know before I got into my story because the thing with telling stories is you don't want to repeat yourself, right? So, okay, so here goes. Right now, because of COVID, I'm having to homeschool my children, especially the one in first grade. I have two girls. And the first grader is, she's learning about spelling and math, some of the basics of math and digraphs and some other concepts that I realized I never really got to learn because I personally never went to pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, or third grade in my life. Because, I see. Okay, I'll get to the comments in a little bit. I'll just finish telling my story quickly. And now with COVID, I hear a lot of parents complaining that, they're having to do first grade all over again. And I'm actually pretty excited because I've never been to first grade and I'm actually learning things that I've never learned. And the reason I actually ended up skipping the first couple of years of school is because I grew up in Tajikistan. And I guess that's not reason enough. But for some reason, I didn't actually go to school until I came to America. And I was about 9 when I arrived here. So that's fourth grade. It's just a quick background story for you that I skipped the first 3 to 4 years of school. And then I also actually finished college, my 4-year degree in 3 years. So all in all, I have 11 years of education behind me as compared to most people who have 12 years of formal schooling and then 4 years of their college degrees. All right, so Adam says the JLab Talk Pro. Okay, I'll check that out, Adam. So like I mentioned in the beginning, not sure if you guys heard that because of all the audio issues, but I'm literally jumping on because I don't want to work on the things I need to work on. So I'm here to chat with anyone who wants to either ask a question, leave a comment, talk about something that's important to you, talk about social media, talk about data visualization, data analytics. And I'm just going to go make sure, that we have comments coming in. Sound is fixed. Okay, so glad to see that the sound is fixed. I'm never going live without a microphone ever again. Okay. So if you do want to join the session, let me know and I can send you a link. But before I get anybody on, I do want to let you know if you're watching this right now and if you're interested in attending the Dedicated conference I'll quickly walk through it right now. I basically recently launched this new dedicated conference. We had our first session in October, and the next event is scheduled for February 9th to 11th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have over 25 speakers over the course of 3 days, and they're going to deliver 10-minute lightning talks, and they're basically going to stay on for some Q&A. It's going to be hosted on LinkedIn Live and free to attend. So if you want to go to dedicated.co and sign up, that would be awesome. I'm trying to make this one of the biggest data events or data gatherings of the year. So if you can help spread the word, I would definitely appreciate that. I'm also working with some community partners like Pact, where we're going to give away some books. We're going to do some courses and some other fun giveaways. Still in the planning stage for that. The 3 conference themes that we're covering are, on day 1, we're going to talk about extracting business value from data, right? You can see the person here kind of digging for gold, and that's what we do with data. We dig through the mud and get the gold out there. Day 2 is dedicated to exploring trends in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then day 3, on February 11th, we're going to focus on data storytelling. So it's basically that last mile of analytics. Some of our speakers here, we got Ken G, we got Miko Yak, Susan Walsh, Scott Taylor, Mike Wimmer, Christina Satopoulos, Harpreet Sahota, George Farrakhan. I've got a couple more that I've confirmed recently that I've not added to the site yet. But that's just a little bit about the conference. If you have any questions, I'm happy to chat about that one. Okay, a few questions here. Katsar is asking, are these live sessions scheduled? Where can I see the schedule? So these live events typically are scheduled. The next official live event that's coming up is on December 9th, where I'm going to talk to the CEO and Chief Marketing Officer of Tellius about convergence of AI and business intelligence. It's going to be super fun. If you go to storybydata.com, you're actually going to, and I'll show you that here. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. So if you're at dedicated.co, you can basically click on the events calendar or just go to storybydata.com. And here are all the upcoming events, right? So this one is in November. Here in December, we have something coming up, convergence of BI and AI, how to bring data insights to every decision. So you can go ahead and add this to your calendar and sign up for that. And I tend to keep a running list of all of the events, but today I basically went live, like I said, just to avoid work. Okay, Daniel says you registered for the conference. All right, thank you for your support, Daniel. Mohammed has had fun in the first one. Awesome. Data pilot, how do you get the motivation to learn every day? That's a great question. I think for me, personally, it's so much fun to learn new things, but it's easier said than done, right? One of the things I'm avoiding doing right now includes me learning something because I'm putting together a course and I have to read several books to make sure that I have a complete comprehensive view into the topic before I develop and design this course. And I think just getting started is how you get the motivation, right? So it's not like I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm so motivated to do some work or learn some stuff. No, it's literally the process of taking the book, sitting yourself down in a comfortable place, but not too comfortable where you fall asleep, opening the book and just start reading the first sentence. That's literally where your motivation will come from, because you can't just sit there and wait for some kind of reading muse or learning muse to come to you. You can create a schedule for yourself that says every day at 6 a.m. I'm going to open this book. And naturally what's going to happen is, yes, you'll read that first sentence, but it's very unlikely that at that point you'll close your book and say, okay, now I'm going to go do something else. You're going to read another sentence, and that is actually going to kickstart your motivation to get things done. Okay, let's see. Mohammed said, and registered for the next one. Awesome. Thank you, Mohammed. Let's see. Chris says the first conference was really fun. Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. It was actually a surprise for me because the entire conference planning process was under 2 months, and we actually had over 7,100 people register for the event. And actually put in the comments how many people, what total number of registrations should I aim for the February event? Because the first time around I was aiming for 10,000 registrations and we hit 7,100. And this time around I have a little bit more time and I have some more credibility in this space because I've already held one event. How many people do you think I should strive for to get signed up for the conference? Would love to hear from everybody. All right, let's see. Deepa registered for the event. Woohoo! Thanks, Deepa. Okay, Nans, where do you get the time to 2 kids? I'm finding it really hard. I agree. I'm finding it really hard as well. I literally just finished up gym with my first grader, and I try to balance things out, right? Because right now life just got a lot harder with COVID because now the kids are not in school from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're just here all day, and I think it's a matter of keeping them busy and keeping them engaged and entertained, and letting them know that you're getting to do these fun things. So I actually involve them in the work that I'm doing as much as I could, obviously, right? They can't help me with LinkedIn lives and stuff like that, where I tell them, guys, don't come in, I'm going live. So at least they understand that concept at the age of 4 and 6. But sometimes I get them involved. Like, for example, I sent a small thank you package to all the speakers for the dedicated conference. And so we had 16 boxes that we had to fill with crinkle paper, with a dedicated mug. We had some tea, we had some other stuff that we put in there. And they basically helped me organize all those boxes. They helped me pack them. They helped me assign the shipping labels, and they had so much fun doing this. But it also teaches them about, the post office and all these things. So trying to get them involved as much as possible. Okay, let's see. So we've got some, Muhajid says 10K, Dak says 10K. Herb says 15,000. All right. Let's see, 15K, 25K. Chris, you're the highest bidder at this point. Since it's a multi-day event, yes, I agree. Wow, Deepa says 30 to 40,000 because we have about 3 months. Yeah, I agree. I mean, November is already done, so we've got December, January, and a week in February. So it's about 2.5 months. I would love to aim for. Secretly, I was aiming for 30,000. So Deepa, you kind of hit it right there. But I would have to definitely change up the way I promote. I think I'll have to talk about this conference every single day for the next 80 days to try to hit those numbers. Wow, Hussein, you win. 50K? If I go for 50K, I might reach the 30K. I think that's usually how it works. All right, let's see. Going into the comments, Katsar is asking, your live session, this channel live session, is this scheduled? No, so this was not actually scheduled in advance, but I basically just decided to go live. Most of my sessions are pre-scheduled, not this one though. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to share with you all, since you're here, then, since you're on LinkedIn, I feel like you get the value of LinkedIn and the value of networking and engaging on social media. So I just wanted to share a few tips with you in case you wanted to build up your own brand, build up your own presence on the platform or on any platform. Because I was just talking to one of my really good friends, and she's not in the data space, she's in the fashion industry, but we were talking about some of the ways of, how do you get started? And I was telling her all the things that I would do if I was just starting from, from the bottom or starting from scratch. And then I realized that this might not be common sense to everybody out there. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and share some tips on getting started in social media. Herb says, get us all to promote on our networks and web properties. I see this as a volunteer, Herb, so thank you. I absolutely appreciate any types of shares. And I'll start with this as tip number 1, right? If you're really trying to help somebody promote an event or promote an individual, let's say you come across a post, right? And the post says, I've lost my job. Can somebody help me? Your natural reaction is, okay, I really want to help this person, right? It's a friend of yours. And LinkedIn makes it easy because they have the share button, and you want to click share because you think if you click that, it's going to go to your network. But the problem is the LinkedIn algorithm isn't as favorable to shares as they are to original posts. So if you truly wanted to help your friend either get the job, get exposure, or if you consider me a friend, get more people to sign up to the conference, simply sharing that post is good, but you can actually go a big step forward by creating your own original post. meaning take the time to write it in your own language. Put your own perspective in there. Why should people attend this conference? Why should people hire that person? What's so good about them? Then LinkedIn reads this as a brand new piece of content that they want to show to more people. And you basically get a lot more reach. And I've experimented with this for several years now, where sharing is no longer caring. Okay, so I'll just quickly go to a question here. Hussein is asking if I've ended the dedicated weekly activity. Yes, Hussein. I actually, last year I had the dedicated weekly, and then I shifted it to a dedicated monthly. But then when I went off on my own full time for work, I actually had to stop the dedicated challenge because it was pretty time consuming, and I had to shift my focus to the dedicated academy and a couple of other initiatives that I'm running. I haven't killed it completely. I think if the right volunteer comes in that can maybe help me run this challenge, or maybe I end up hiring somebody to do some of these, community things, then that would be great. And for those who are not familiar with it, the dedicated weekly used to be where I partner with, somebody who has a course to give away, and we use that as a prize. And people, the entire data community, can submit an article on a specific topic for a chance to win that prize. If you guys think I should bring that back, let me know, send me a message. Or, oh, look, Ravit is here and he's dedicated. Hi, Ravit. Thanks for joining. So Ravit has his own The Ravit Show that you can check out. I was on his show. Kenji was on his show today. If you don't know Kenji, he's got this whole YouTube thing going on data. So yeah, fun stuff. I truly love the data community. Deepa says that's a new tip for you. Okay, good. I'm glad you're getting new tips here. So I'm going to go ahead back to the social media tips. And before I do that, I just remembered there was a question here from Chris Ellsworth. Will there be more time for Q&A? I'm assuming you're asking about the dedicated conference. So the sessions are going to remain 10-minute lightning talks, but you predicted accurately. We're going to have more time for Q&A. Last time we had 5,300 comments. Yes, 5,300 comments during one LinkedIn Live. It literally blew up, and it was very very difficult to manage. And we didn't really have time for the live engagement. But this time I'm providing about 5-6 minutes on top of the 10-minute talk for each speaker to engage with the live audience. And we'll have more giveaways. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. A lot of lessons learned from the first event that I'm going to apply for this next event. And hopefully each event will get better and better. Okay, so now back to social media. The way I like to talk about it is picture yourself as a magnet, right? And you attract anything that you put out there. So for me, anything to do with data is what I want to attract, right? If people want to talk about data tools, data concepts, new data innovations, data visualization, new data processes, like any data challenges, anything to do with data, I want to put out and attract. And the trick with social media is right now it's such a good time because most people are not posting, right? If you ask yourself, I'm not sure how many people we've got on right now, but I can check if I go to my posts. So let's run this quick little experiment. So we have about 33 of you on right now, 34. Let me know if you are more of a producer or consumer of content. Let's just stick to LinkedIn for now. So type the word consumer if you spend more than half your time reading and consuming content, or type the word producer if you spend more than half your time putting out content. Okay, so consumer versus producer. Let's see what we come up with. Because the thing is, most of us, and this is just a guess, most of us are going to be consumers. It's a lot easier to scroll on our free time. It's a lot easier for us to read data and consume, right? Consume. And for the longest time, I was a consumer of information. And then I kind of flipped the script and I became a producer. And I started putting content out there because I felt like I had my own perspective. I felt like I had my own voice. And I intentionally became a producer. So at this point, I definitely produce, at least 70% of my time I'm producing versus consuming. It's always important to have some percentage of consumer, because that's where you get ideas, that's where you get inspired, that's where you get a pulse of what are people thinking, what's on top of their minds, and you engage with all your buddies. Let me look at some of the comments that came in. Okay, so somebody count. Consumer, 1. Okay, producer, 1. Consumer, want to be producer. Consumer. Susan's both. She's 50-50. Consumer. As predicted, most of these coming in are consumer, right? Consumer. Some are both. But for the most part, most people here are consumers. Consumer for now. Susan says, can I say addict? Okay, interesting. Consumer, we got a producer, hopefully producer one day. So it seems like for the most part, people are either a mix or, they're consumers, but they would like to be producers in the future. And it's not that difficult. Yep, I'm getting more people now from YouTube saying that they're consumers. And I think the vast majority of people on LinkedIn are consumers. And there's nothing wrong with consuming content. That's why we're there, right? We're there to learn. But it's when you actually become a producer that you get to share your own ideas and your own content with the world. And when you put content out there, you literally attract opportunities and just more things come your way that's relevant with data, right? I'm actually going to switch focus right now because we have a guest on the show, and I'll let him in for a few minutes here. His name is Scott Taylor. Hello, Scott.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me, Kate?
Welcome to the show. Thanks.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's much better.
All right, good. Yes, I got your Data Avengers call. Can anybody join StreamYard? So I all I heard was consumers. So any topic, I'm happy to help. You know me, Kate.
So Scott, we're talking about consumers versus producers on social media, more specifically LinkedIn, and we've got YouTube on here as well. What are you? Are you more of a producer or a consumer of content?
I am a producer for sure. I would consider myself in that category if we have to make it binary. Obviously, I consume a lot.
Yes.
But my every day I got to figure out something to say or something to post. I wake up every day and say, all right, I have, a post to do. what am I going to say? So out there trying to just kind of share the vision, the thoughts around telling data stories and data management and that whole side of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Scott, I'm going to let you talk about yourself for a minute because I'm going to get my other speaker.
If you're going to go take a break.
Yeah, I'm going to take a break. No, seriously, tell people about yourself.
Hey, everybody. How are you? I've taken over Kate's show as usual. She just gives me the wheel. Scott Taylor, Data Whisperer. Some of you know me. Some of you don't know me. Some of you probably know me all too well by now. But I'm out there trying to give people some support around telling their data management story. Today, I officially launched my new book called Telling Your Data Story, Data Storytelling for Data Management. It is 99% buzzword free. So I'm really delighted about that. That weight is off. But, those of us on kind of the producing side, we're trying to, we do it for you. I'm not trying to be, cliche here, but if there aren't people watching, then it really kind of doesn't matter what you're doing. So you've got to be engaging. You got to give people a point of view. I think you got to be authentic. You've got to be somewhat original. Otherwise, you could find it somewhere else. So those are some of the things that are always on my mind as I'm putting some together to push out there.
So, Scott, you published a book?
Yes, today, as you know.
Tell us about your book.
So my book is about 200 pages. No, it's about, there it is right there. Kate's always awesome. Just doing the multitasking. Just hit buy. Just keep hitting buy.
I bought one already. Jesus,
I know you did. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I mentioned already, as it says, 99% buzzword free. It's about putting that story together. So I think data storytelling's the hottest non-technical thing going on in the data space today. But primarily it's been focused on analytics, on telling stories with data. That is super important. How do you drive insight? How do you give the business the tools they need to get the value out of all that analytic work that people do? But there's another side. It's not either or here. There's another side, which is telling stories about your data, why the management of data is of strategic importance to your enterprise. You've got to get the funding, the support, the stakeholder engagement, the C-level involvement in managing data. And though that's how you create the ingredients that the data science community needs to use to be able to put those stories together with their data. So hopefully that's a clear delineation, but there's two kinds of data stories telling out there, as far as I'm concerned. Telling stories with data, which is analytics, telling stories about data, which is data management. And I put out what I think is the first book on that second part, that second kind of data storytelling, data management.
Yeah. So Scott, you're the data whisperer. And then who's the data whisperer?
So here she is. That's the love of my life, Marianne, the data whisperer. She helps. If I help calm data down, she helps calm me down. That's for sure. So
that's pretty funny. I love that. I've not met the data whisperer.
You have to meet the data whisperer. She we travel the world together on a lot of these conferences, which we're not going to anymore, but maybe we'll bring her on camera someday. She's kind of behind the scenes. I'm head in the clouds and she is feet on the ground. I don't make any business decisions without her. That's for sure.
Good. We got some people saying congratulations on your
thank you
book. They're going to get it soon. And Susan's here. Susan, you're probably working now. So Scott, you're helping me procrastinate one more time.
I know. It's, why put off procrastination when you can do that procrastination today?
Literally, I'm like, okay, I've cleared my schedule. I have no calls. I finished the homeschooling. I sat down. I'm like, okay, I should go live.
Yeah, why don't I go live? Yes. And I was in the middle of editing a video, and every once in a while I check LinkedIn, always, no matter what. And I saw your little,
yeah, I'm like, hey, who wants to join?
Your little link there. For those of you who don't know, we're all Kate and Susan and I and a whole bunch of us. There's probably 20 of us are always chatting with each other in a little chat stream. And every once in a while, somebody puts something out, and Kate was just like, hey, who wants to go live? And I'm like, cameras, lights, I'm here. No problem. There you go.
Action. Yeah, by the way, for anyone who's still with us, if you do want to join and meet me or Scott or anyone else who joins eventually, you can go ahead and let me know. I can send you a link. You can actually join us live on video. I remember I had Pedro Cardoso do that once, and he still tells me that he loved that experience because it was so unexpected, and he just got to go live. And I have this new background here, so it looks like you're on stage,
Oh, this one, right? I see. Okay, yeah, this.
Look, Chris says data whisperer squared.
Not quite. So data whisper again. It's not data whisperer squared. It's a whisperer for the whisperer. So it's meta. It's very meta, which is the name of my company, Meta Consulting. We're about what it's about. Yes.
So, Scott, why are you more of a producer than consumer? I just want to get back to that topic.
Because I think I just have something to say. I have stuff that people seem to enjoy, watching, reading, sharing, whatever. And I've always been creative my whole life in one way or another, putting stuff out there. LinkedIn just makes it so easy. Once you get over a couple of hurdles, we all had to get to that moment on the brink where you go, okay, I'm going to do it. Because once you put it out there.
Was it always like that for you? Did you just join LinkedIn and start producing right away, or did you start out as a consumer?
I started out as a consumer for sure, even though I had been doing stuff, in kind of legacy media for a while, if you will. Way back early in my career, I used to write articles for magazines. So it goes way back that way. And that was a lot more formal. So you had an editor, you had working with you. It was impossible to produce something that people could consume without some form of editorial intermediary, making sure it's right. They own the timing, they own the format, they own the tone of it. And you would work with magazines or, whatever kind of media to put some content together. Now, because of social, you can just put out whatever you want. And there's a lot more positives than there are negatives to that. But, sometimes it's good to have another perspective. Is this going to work? Is it not? And I think the feedback you get almost immediately helps you be that editor, shape what you're going to do and figure out whether people are going to like it or not. But when I first started, a couple of things I put out there, I was like, all right, does this make sense? People going to like this? Am I just talking to myself? And you get a lot of encouragement, engagement. A lot of people I've met you through all of this for sure. And a lot of folks that I hang out with all the time now. But you always wonder, right? Okay, is this stupid? Has this been said 1,000 times? Does this make sense? Because when you do it, you're not there to explain it. You put something out, you've created something, whether it's a 10-minute video or a 5-word post. It goes out and people absorb it, read it, consume it. They're going to make their own decision. You're not there to go, oh, what I really meant by that was this, or no, that didn't really, or no, if you think of it that way, or it's just out there. So.
Yeah, and I think that's a fear a lot of people have in terms of becoming producers or even getting their first post out there, is because they think they can't be there to back up. Oh, no, what I really meant was this. And I think it's that fear that holds a lot of people back from actually taking action. But one thing I want to remind everyone is I actually have a business that helps, and so do you, Scott, that helps posts get more views, right? Helps content get more views. And the reason I'm saying this is if you're just starting out and you put a post out there, chances are it's not going to get seen by that many people anyways, right? Because when I first posted, I thought every single person I knew was going to see this, and all they're going to do that day is literally look at my content and judge it. That was my perception, even though I didn't want to admit that, but that's exactly what I thought. Reality was like 1% of my audience actually saw it. More than half of them didn't care. And the others were like, okay, cool, you posted something. It wasn't that big of a deal as I thought it would be, right? I think once your audience grows, then you care a little bit more. But then at that point, hopefully you've learned enough from feedback and you've just gotten better at messaging. But what are your thoughts on that? Like your first couple posts?
Your first couple posts, you have this feeling of, okay, this is all it. I'm just, this is my big moment. Yeah. When in fact, it's more consistency, right? It's more, as you say, I didn't understand the algorithm either. I thought I had X number of followers. I'm now sending basically a message to all of them. Here's what I think, but it doesn't work that way. And as you learn it, and so the stakes aren't quite as high. And I think people are fairly, supportive and forgiving, and there's kind of a camaraderie out there. But the very first thing I did that was like a serious point of view. So I wrote an article and I put it all together. And this was kind of my treatise about digital transformation and data management's relationship to it. And it really was the core of everything I thought seriously about the meaning of the space that I was in. So I put that out there and I get this poke from this person who had some kind of snide remark like, oh, that's a simplistic way. I forget how they said it, but it wasn't positive. And then his partner jumped on it and he was like, yeah, that's how people used to think, or that's not right. So there was definitely something in there that I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. And it really hit me. It was like, oh, wow. Okay. So if I've been found out, is this, this is not as deep as I thought it was. And it bothered me because it was my first post. And it was
that can be discouraging.
First day. And I'm like, and so I kind of, brushed it off a little bit. And I waited a while and I reached out to this guy. And I reached out to both of them. And I said, I'd really like to understand your point of view.
Yeah.
And we had a nice conversation. And he's one of my top followers today, one of my huge supporters. He does his own stuff, which hopefully I encouraged him to do. I got him connected to a website where they published his articles.
Oh, wow.
And, we're friends today. But it started off on a rather negative note. And a couple, so that encouraged me. We all get some form of troll after a while. That's one thing out there. If you're going to start to produce stuff, you're going to find people who are not necessarily consumers. They're people who are just looking to pick at you.
Yeah.
And there've been a lot worse people than these guys. They've turned out to be, we came to a meeting of the minds of what they meant, what I meant. It was just so startling to have it happen the first day. Right.
Yeah.
And I've reached out to a couple of these other folks, and you usually get to some, if you feel like putting that time in, to understand their perspective. And a couple of them I've turned around, or we've become, connected, and it's a much more positive relationship. Some of them you just, I've had to block because they just get so aggressive. And in one case, really like abusive. It was kind of
wow.
scary.
You're scaring the audience, Scott. I'm encouraging people to post more.
But just sort of, if that happens to you, it's not the end of the world. These people are just like you anyway. It's not like, Bill Gates said, "Oh, you're full of crap." It was, another person who's a practitioner in the data space. So, you kind of take it down a couple notches.
Yeah, I think there's I forget the exact quote, but I love and I don't know who said it, Gary Vee or somebody else. They're like, you're never going to get troll comments from somebody who's doing more than you, or who's kind of better than you. It's most likely going to come from somebody who is below you and is jealous or has a bad time in their life. So just keep that in mind. And they're very few of those.
I started to characterize a group of people who are picking at me. And so now I kind of wait for them, or just know them. They seem to come from a similar background, meaning they've been in the hardcore, like, data architecture, data management space for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
The few that I spoke to had all similar backgrounds and perspectives, which I found funny. So they all were, most of them said something along the lines of, well, when I figured this out X number of decades ago, it was going to fix everything. And nobody's listened to me since. That's a distillation and a genericizing their approach. But when you hear a story like that from 4 or 5 people, that's enough data points to go, okay, there's a trend here. They're kind of frustrated. They're like, we figured it all out and nobody listens to us. And a lot of it's based on, if we all just did it my way, everything would be fixed. And I go, you know what? Yeah, if everybody did it one way, there'd be a lot of problems that aren't.
Life would be boring if everyone did the same thing.
But even if you think about it just from a data management perspective,
I know.
If we all use the same schema and we all use the same structure and we all use the same standards, yes, but
good luck with that.
That ain't never happening. So,
I know. That's why I said good luck with that.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny to sort of see that theme in there.
Yeah, we've got a comment here.
Hopefully none of them are on.
No, I don't know why it's not pulling in. Oh, there it is. That vision of consumer versus producer saying, I think, is also related with the giver and taker vision that was proposed by the psychologist Adam Grant. I actually have that book.
Oh.
Give, take. I forget the exact name of it. It's on my shelf. Unfortunately, I've got so many books on my shelf. And Scott, your book is arriving, I think, today or tomorrow. So that's going to be another book.
Okay.
Obviously, I'll read that one first because, you wrote it.
Tell me how it looks, because I haven't seen a physical copy yet. So if you actually get
Are you serious?
You get one
this
before.
is so funny. I'm going to get your book before you.
Yes.
This happened. I interviewed Tina Woods, who wrote Live Longer with AI, and I got her book before she did. So
you're right in there. You're right on the edge, right on the cusp.
Yes. So, Scott, I think in like a few minutes, I'm going to get back to work. But
okay,
any last minute advice to all the consumers, which for the most part was almost everybody here? How do they make the switch to be at least a little bit of a producer? What are some things that they should do today?
I think you have to have a point of view. This is my perspective.
Yeah.
Or actually backing that up. So I think there's consumers, then there's producers, but then there's kind of this group in the middle who are sharers, amplifiers, and we all love them. We love you out there. So they find an idea that they agree with, they add their thought on it, and then they share it. And
Yeah.
so if you're feeling a little hesitant, try that for a while. Go to my feed, go to Kate's feed, and just share everything we've got. But instead of just blindly forwarding it, maybe put your spin on it, why you thought it was important, what value this might bring. And that lets you kind of put your toe in the water in terms of posting that way. If you want to make your own content, what I think is important is you're authentic, you've got a point of view, a distinct point of view, you're focused on something.
Yep.
I could post about sales or life truths or other stuff, but I stay focused on data management. And as you know, and I've learned from you for sure, Kate, you got to be consistent. So your first post is not going to break LinkedIn, go wild, go crazy, and establish you as the next, the 2021 top LinkedIn voice. It's not going to happen with a post, no matter what it is. And if it does, it's a complete anomaly. So that consistency that helps you develop this point of view, thinking it through, again, authentic, independent, those kinds of things always come up to mind when I think about what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think those are great tips. That's actually one thing we started the conversation before you joined, was around sharing is no longer caring, where you said that middle ground of sharing other people's content. I think it's a good way for you to get over the fear of putting yourself out there by sharing somebody else's content. You can, like you said, add your own spin on things. What did you think of the article that you just read? Because hopefully you're sharing it because you read it and felt inspired, informed, or, disgusted, whatever that feeling was. Share the feeling.
Yeah.
And there are so many things you can post about. One tip I always tell people, if you're, if you know the area you're going to focus in, for us, it's obviously data, your data management, data viz, and some other stuff. You can read news articles and summarize those, right? Let's say a big news story just came out. Put your, what was your perspective? Were you surprised to hear of this merger acquisition of these two companies? Were you indifferent? Whatever the feeling you had towards that news article, you can share that. You can watch other people's content and just share your thoughts on it without actually sharing the post. You can just say, hey, I attended a live event with Kate and Scott and they were completely full of it. Never join them again. You can say, if that's how you're feeling.
No, you can't say that. That's a terrible example, but I agree with the rest of what you said. Yes.
Or if you want to tell people to, get Scott's book or join Kate's conference, do that.
Now we're talking.
Is that better? Gary Brown here says, thank you. This has been enlightening. Thank you for saying that, Gary. I think, there's just so many things. I even wrote an article about like the 20 different ways you can get started on posting content. My biggest thing, and I totally stole this from Gary Vaynerchuk, is to document your process, which I do all the time. One of the reasons is because it's kind of lonely to be a solo entrepreneur where you're running a business and you've got no one to talk to. So I end up talking to everybody. And I just take pictures of like, oh, look, I'm doing this course, or look what I've just made, or what price do you think I should choose, or what title do you think? And I literally am asking because I care about an answer, not because I'm trying to put content. Yeah. But what happens is people start to take that as a form of, a way of trusting you, because they're able to see all the behind the scenes and your thought process of how did you end up building this. And Susan obviously has a great tip here about, lip syncing, if that's your thing. So Susan is known to do lip syncing. And Scott, you didn't even talk about your puppets yet.
I got my puppets. That's my thing. I keep looking for them. They're out of reach here. But those of you who have not seen the Puppets of Data, the Tech Tech Puppets, check them out on YouTube.
Yes.
More episodes to come.
What's your YouTube channel, Scott?
My YouTube channel is, I think it's just the Data Whisperer. If you search for me, Scott Taylor, Data Whisperer, I got 50 videos. Not quite as many as George, but I'm building them up nicely. Some of them are very, straight and business serious. And then some of them are cartoons and puppets and that kind of stuff. Now that I'm done with the book, I can now start to work on the next puppet episodes. So that was all summer.
Yeah, your puppets are awesome. I've seen a bunch of your videos and it's super entertaining. So people go ahead and check that out. Then the last thing I'll touch on here is when you're posting, there are a few best practices for LinkedIn, right? For example, avoid using 30 hashtags or putting hashtags within your text, because you're writing for the human, you're not writing for the computer. You can include maybe 3 to 5 hashtags at the bottom of your post. I highly recommend that, because then it gets seen by people who care about those hashtags. But also don't use a hashtag like, hashtag my dog ate my homework or something. It's gotta be something people actually follow. And there's a trick I can show you, or you could just try this on LinkedIn. If you search for hashtag, let's say data, you'll see they're like, I'll actually just check the
Yeah, you
hashtag.
can search for how many people are following a hashtag.
Yeah, you basically get an exact number. You have 6,155,000 followers for the hashtag data. But if I look at hashtag dog ate homework, right, I'll be surprised that there are none. So you have to see, are there followers for that hashtag? If not, why are you cluttering your post with hashtags?
People
it doesn't
have this
look good.
tendency to try and make something a thing. And I think they spend too much time on it. It's really hard to make a thing a thing.
Well, if you're consistent, it's not, right? So I had a hashtag I created in January. It was called Daily Coding. And it has over 10,000 followers because I used it every single day, and everyone who joined this challenge had to use it. But I did it very intentionally, and it had a purpose. And the purpose was, if you want to see coding posts in your feed, follow the hashtag. That's why it skyrocketed. Well, I know 10,000 is not as much as 6 million for data, but I think we hit 10,000 in the first few months because people were that excited about seeing coding things in their post. But if you're just starting something out, use an existing hashtag. Don't create a brand new one just because you think it's cool, unless it's something you plan to grow for the next few years and really are going to stick to it. So hashtags is one. Tagging people is another thing I've got an opinion on, where I think don't tag 50 people or even 10 people that, just because they have a following and you tag them, that can actually hurt you in the algorithm. This is not proven, but I've experimented, and I know, Scott, you've experimented with things as well. If you tag 10 people and none of them engage with your post, LinkedIn is like, all right, let's not show this one anymore. If you tag 2 people and both of them engage, great. That means you tag the right way, and LinkedIn will show it to more people. So I know it's not as straightforward as this, but that's kind of what I've seen with these crazy huge tags, where you're not getting the engagement from those specific people. That means if they don't want to see it, why would we show it to anybody else, right? If you clearly tag them, they got a notification and they're like, no, not again. I would say avoid the mass tags.
Yeah, I've been on some wild ones where I've actually just had to kind of untag myself because it's got nothing to do with me. And it was I'm on there with 100 other people.
Yeah.
And you just go, okay.
I love engaging with content where I'm tagged, as long as I'm not one of 50 people, because then I know people actually wanted me to engage in their content versus they just wanted anyone to engage with their content. I don't know if that's just human nature, but it is what it is for me. That's how I treat it. So I think, Scott, unless you got something else, I think it's time to get to work. It's been almost an hour, 48 minutes that I've procrastinated. And I'm nowhere closer to wanting to do work, but I'll take my own advice and just start. And then maybe my motivation will hit somehow. Yeah,
or maybe, it's holiday tomorrow. Just, take the rest of the day off.
No. That's not no. All right, well, everyone.
Before the holiday, that's what we're doing at Meta headquarters. Now I got to finish my video editing so I can get that to the folks who are looking for it before all this starts. But always great to talk to you, Kate.
Yes, thank you so much for hopping in, making this even more fun. And thanks everybody for joining. Hopefully we've converted some consumers to at least a little bit of producers, and looking forward to seeing your content out there, guys. All righty. Have a good rest of your day. Happy Thanksgiving.